Very much. Nana Mejakwa has the floor.
Patramidin Nana Mejakwa Nuya TV. My question is oral. I'm saying, Mr. President, what can PR for oral? Now, the last accountability series, Attorney General, a statement in Pesemi Redi Kakami quoting Kakranami to us the I wish to remind you of the fact that when I announced the Kwabena Edubwahi investigation, I was blunt in stating the fact that I am open to engaging in plea bargaining with those who have state resources. I mean no words about my intentions and will therefore not shut the door to any accused person willing to enter into negotiations with my office for purposes of reaching a plea agreement. Yenim se ya Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Amendment Act 2022 plea bargaining. But my question is say fight corruption. That's Attorney General, State Attorney say we be na pono de ato ho no mo a say we loot state resource and as a fund bra then we negotiate. Does it mean say we beti asese sika na me fire no metua ye gyan no ana ndi wo ho no mo ana me question no it does.
Justice from Shinhua News Agency.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Justice from China State Media Shinhua News Agency. Looking at the global trade crisis that was ignited by the United States President, people have been wondering what countries like Ghana would be doing as a response. But we realized recently that the Chinese government has actually granted all African countries a zero tariff into their market. What will Ghana be doing to take advantage of that for our trading to be boosted as a substitute to what we may have been losing from the United States side? Thank you.
Before I take the final question from here, let me indicate that we are joined by journalists from across the regions through the power of technology. So as and when the technical folks sit down me, I would ask them to also contribute to this question and answer session. Alfred, you may have the last word in this batch.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Alfred Okanse. I work with TV3 as part of Media General. Just on the back of the oral question that was asked by a colleague of mine, over the weekend we had the General Secretary of your party indicate that there are some NDC lawyers who are cutting deals with some persons who are standing trial for acts of corruption. Is this statement one that, and if you are, what are you going to do about this, especially because of how committed you are, as you indicated, to pursue oral because the Ghanaian people expect that you should do so? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Now we are joined by William Menta from Rich FM. So William, if you can hear me, you have the floor.
Okay, so my name is William Minteford from Asimfosu-based Rich FM Central Region. And Mr. President, Central Region is known as the heartbeat of education and tourism. Yet our people still struggle with unemployment and underdeveloped infrastructure. What specific steps is your government and our strengths into real jobs and
like we had in 2024, 25% depreciation, like we had in 2024, 25% depreciation in the currency in the first half of the year. It makes planning difficult. And so, yes, Bank of Ghana has been intervening in the forex. What happened was that because of the rapid appreciation in the value of the cedi, we saw an exponential increase in imports, because then people could buy cheaper dollars and so they could import more, which is a natural economic phenomenon. But on the other side, exporters are not happy because they get less cedis for what they export. And so every country tries to find out a balance where exporters are able to do good business and importers are not overburdened by high forex rates. Where that lies, I don't know. I'm not a central bank, But the CD is making an adjustment, and I believe that it will settle at a certain rate, and we will make sure that any depreciation that occurs in the value of the CD is within a margin of about 5% per annum. That is what we target. And so for now, there's still speculation. It's also coincided with a period where we saw a reduction of 50% in remittances, because citizens in the diaspora were taken aback by the rapid appreciation of the CD. And so if somebody was building a house, if he was going to send $100,000, it meant that he was losing a certain percentage of that 100,000. And most of them would decide to adopt a wait-and-see attitude and say, oh, no, as for CD, it's not possible that the CD can regain its value to that extent. By all means, it will go up again. So I'll hold back my remittance until the CD goes back up. So we saw a 50% reduction. But there were also some other factors. There were some money transfer companies that were collecting CDs abroad and not repatriating collecting dollars abroad and not repatriating the dollars. There were other which we're investigating. There were other cases where people applied through the commercial banks for foreign exchange to cover imports, and those monies are transferred to pay for imports, but the imports never came into Ghana. And we've studied a period of 4 years, and over the period of 4 years, about $42 billion was taken out of this country without the corresponding imports coming into the country. And so we started sanctioning some banks, and soon we'll start interrogating some individuals who ostensibly took money out against imports but never brought those imports. We want to know what happened and if there was wrongdoing to sanction whoever it is. While we work to stabilize our economy and improve the value of our currency, we must protect that currency, because a strong CD is good for all of us. But when that happens, some people try to take advantage of it. And I think that we should all condemn anything like that. FR investigations now with regards to oral. Senya Okayano, MPP address almost Shishebi by IMRA se abine wudi FR case bi ho se ebia wafesika na bibia. Or akwenya ubetimi aka se yo ene aban case na mode kwedu amode bomeno me sande sika na se agudie bia na se bibia mode bomi kwedu no me sande aba se ne be ya bomfa menkoto how do they call imprisonment efiase bomfa menkoto efiase. Enti ayemra edaho enti obi ayabo no kwedu bia ewo tumi se obeka se you ene yentwa so na memfa seimra na yenjai sa eyuno enti eno enye aban ene ebeka eye nipa yede na kugina court. And so se oka se o munjai asem no mu na memfa seimra na se agudie bia me fire me famra na se japadie bia me fire me famra na se bibi aban wa kwenya se ebeka se de bi enje na yebeto aso any case no enti ejina case no ene ni anipa ne ye enti still aban wo to me say even though wako emra na se aka se me pese me san ede bibi bema aban na aban eja case no mu aban betimi aka se de bi yempe yenje enti eno a case by case se o sheda ede adwembone ewia yesika a echese eso a ye nyina echese I don't know how to explain it. I just say abo aban anase oman car you to me say ebeka say yempe nia wode ba no na ye de obekwa akoto efiase but ni be reason ka say na wo de no koto efiase wa na obeto aduane ama no wa na obehwe no oyare a wo de no beko hospital enti se wewia sika na okase o sande o sika be mawa ene ho wonfa so se ye beji ye sika chen se ye di nipa no beko efiase enti ye no de attorney general ene behwe no akan na ehia. With regards to trade tariffs and China, zero tariffs, it's an incentive for us to export into the Chinese market. And we need to look at the items that China imports and see where we have a comparative advantage to be able to take up those imports. I know that China imports a lot from the US, and there's a trade tariff war between US and China. So China is looking for alternative markets to import those items. And so they import a lot of meats from the US, they import a lot of maize from the US and other agricultural products. And so if we have arable land and we're in a position to expand our production, then the zero tariff will make meaningful sense. Then we can take advantage of it. But it is just a figure if we are not able to respond and be able to export into the Chinese market. But I think that it offers an opportunity for diversification of markets. Nobody wins tariff wars. It's unfortunate that America has appended the whole world trade system. We all work towards a rules-based trading system. It took years of negotiation from Rio to Doha round and all that. And eventually, reasonable tariffs were agreed between countries. Countries like Africa enjoyed zero tariff into the US because we were in the developing world. And so it was a concession that US gave. And what you receive in exchange is soft power that, you know, a lot of people have a good disposition towards the US because the US has been kind to Africa and all that kind of thing. But in comes President Trump. He has a more transactional mindset. And he says that the US has been taken for granted for a long time. And so even countries like Ghana in Africa, he slapped a 15% tariff on us from zero tariff. And so AGUA is technically dead. It was due for renegotiation in September. There's no way with this 15% tariff, AGUA is going to be renewed. But we're just watching carefully. The power to impose tariffs is that of Congress. But in this case, the US president always pushes the limits. And so there's a case in the US Supreme Court to determine whether his impositions of tariffs are legal or not. And so depending on what the US court says, the tariffs would either end or